of heaven and hell. I've been known to rebel. I'm dapping up Jesus, knowing Satan as well. Life is a trip when you taking some trips, and life ain't a. She's a complicated pessimist. Closest thing we got to God's a woman, so I'm feminist. Reminisce of past lives, the past time. But I just wanna sip my lemonade. I just. But I just wanna sip my lemonade. Meditate on the moment. Meditate on the moment. Meditate on the moment. It's been a long time coming. I ain't got much else to say. I spent a long time running. But now I'm walking steady, ready for whatever. Gave me two choices, so I broke the lever. Ain't never been a fake, but I've always been a factor. Real as the bills I ain't never paid. And I ain't never been afraid to do what I want to do when I want to do it. All I ever wanted to do was make music. Make music. Make music. But I just want to sip my lemonade. And I just. But I just want to sip my lemonade. From Stockton, California, to the whole world. I just want to sip. Just sip your lemonade, bruh. We all got problems we going through. Don't let them bring you down, though. Put your lemonades up.
I'm a traveler with the sole purpose. Yeah. Traveler, passing through. Come to spend my life and my time with you. Don't test me, and I won't test you. The higher will bless me, the higher will bless you. Traveler, coming to share all my love and my word with you. Don't stress me, and I won't stress you. The higher will bless me, the higher will bless you. With your sole purpose, here on the planet of Job, where they test your loyalty and fight all through the globe. Matter of fact, they're mainly fighting over your soul. Insanely fighting over control. Penny pinching piranhas and shady snakes. None of my homies better come around here ripping traits. I'm up midnight scrapping spiritual attachments. Checks and balance on yourself so you don't get tapped in. I can't stand them energy vampires. Some of my closest friends are too close to the fire. I never been tempted to make the choice to choose to lose. You're confused with the weird attitudes. I'm hopping hurdles over your turtles, you off track. You kinda lost, cause where the hell's your jetpack? Jumping portals over mortals trying to hurt me. All they do is just alert me that I'm a traveler, passing through. Come to spend my life and my time with you. Don't test me, and I won't test you. The higher will bless me, the higher will bless you. Traveler, coming to share all my love and my word with you. Don't stress me, and I won't stress you. The higher will bless me, the higher will bless you. Your sole purpose.
Let me know if things ain't working. I came to bring everything I have to the surface. Not trying to change your ways, but I can see certain things. Hurting, been some long days. What I'm saying, I felt my soul flirting. It's up to you to try to brighten up the youth. I'm not a fan of many do because they poison in the roots. Let me dig a little deeper with a speaker blowing out the truth. Either grab my hands or let these fingers burn through. Bringing out these options got me walking on this long road. Got my heart exposed, see it glowing through my clothes. The lights off cause the passion is wrong. Can't bless the traveler when the stamina is gone. Positive vibes when I slide with a message. It's only when the negative strives towards the wreckage. Many lead them in the wrong direction. Don't get it twisted, I'm here to correct it. Making you a visit, I'm a
traveler, passing through. Come to spend my life and my time with you. Don't test me, and I won't test you. The higher will bless me, the higher will bless you. Traveler, coming to share all my love and my word with you. Don't stress me, and I won't stress you. The higher I bless me, the higher I bless you. With your soul purpose.
Long as this world keeps spinning, I give my all till the ending. I never break, I'm just bending around them corners, but all dependent. I got problems with sinning, and I just don't need no more drama. On my mama, I'm winning. I'm trying to stay in tune to what's going on, and still picking up the puzzle pieces, trying to figure out where they go, and levitate over old, separate mind and focus, generate life emotion, sound scanning the notion. Does anybody know where they going, or know where they headed, or you just busy turning up, getting reckless? The life of the young is so misdirected. Decapitate the head by the necklace, and they are still as infectious. The point is I be pushing people past the perfections, pinpointing the power, pushing back the compression, trying to get to the surface, rise over the surface. I'm a time traveler, that's part of my soul purpose.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, RawNe. I hope you have already started your day and are doing a great job and being productive and doing what you want to do, whether it's resting or getting stuff done. But happy Saturday. Welcome to RawNe, our show. We have a couple tracks in rotation. You heard Sip My Lemonade by Abby James, and you also got to hear Soul Purpose, Story of Job, sort of thing, by Erupt and Dioc. So if you guys have been following Erupt and Dioc, they are coming out with new music. You can follow them on Instagram, and you can see them in the studios showing little clips of their videos while they're there in the studio working on new music. Today we have our guest, Sam Lauranilla, and I'm going to spell it Lauranilla, Lauranilla. So you guys, I hope I pronounced that right so that you guys can get that spelling. And I'm going to say that because, you know, we like words, we like spellings. We got books today. He's a published author, yo. He's a published author, and he's a YouTuber. So welcome.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My name is Sam Lauranilla. There's like 4 different ways to pronounce my names, but I'm cool. Just call me Sam.
Just call me.
Well, you know what? My cousin Renee, she straight up, I hadn't seen her in a long time, but she said, come on and just talk about the books. The first book I wrote, I'm a filmmaker, and the situation happened where like 7 years ago, someone broke into my house, stole all my film equipment. But so my boss in my day job tells me, well, when life gives you lemons, you know, turn it into lemonade, and what you want to do,
like Sip My Lemonade.
what you want to do is, the fact is, turn that into a novel. So about 6 years ago, I turned this book, Marina's Fella. Is this right here? Where's the camera at? Right here?
I get it.
Right here. Right here. I turned that into a book. I turned that into a digital download also, not just a paper version. And so what happened is, like I said, I'm a Christian, but I didn't see any.
I want to see the book. I want to see it.
Well, I'm telling you,
I know.
it's fictional, but
I was trying to get the lights on there for you so I can like have it shown. But yeah, Marina's Fella, large print edition.
I wrote that because it's like a lot of old people in my church.
You know,
like, hey.
I can't see it. Can you get my glasses?
But I made it into a digital download so people got it for 99 cents on Amazon.
Yes.
So it went to Russia. It went to Japan. People all over the place started reading it, and it came out from someone breaking my house. That's how it happened.
Wow.
And it's basically the story of a lot of things that happened in my family's life as a 3rd-generation Filipino American. My grandpa was a grandmaster. They call it Eskrima, which is Filipino martial arts. So, and her family too, they were compadres. They were best friends.
Yes.
They used to go fishing together. They used to cut asparagus together. And so, like I said, I went
They're
on
my
there.
dad's godparents.
Yeah. So I wrote that, and the sequel. Everyone wanted to know what happened with Marina's Fella. What happened? What's the story that happened? So I wrote a sequel.
Yeah, it says Marina Sundong leaves an abusive relationship to truly find the love of her life. Ooh, there are so many people I know going through that right now. That's pretty awesome.
So Sundong, if you don't know, it was one of the Philippine words for sword. I'm Visayan, so the Visayan region. So that's one of the words for sword, Sundong. People were like saying, hey, whatever happened to the story? So I said, I'm going to write a sequel. I wrote a sequel.
Nice.
So it's a sequel here. And some people were saying, you know what? When are you going to take care of business and correct some grammatical errors? I said, bam, I got this. So I got the dollar version. You got the $5 version. You got the dollar version. You got the $20 version. And that one is called Rose from Magdalena. This is a story. A private investigator searches for a dangerous man while dealing with a personal tragedy. Another soul seeks redemption for past wrongs, while a young woman dreams and writes poems. Can I read one of the poems?
Please do.
Okay. This is from the grammatical error free. This poem is called "The Shepherd Calls." I hear you at times. The clarity can be so intense at times. The blood purifies all the accusations of eternal strife, breaking barriers, sometimes slow. The heat of your calling soothes my ears, blocking the accusations spread across my mind for past lies, for past failures, for stupid mistakes. My only hope pierces the air with cries of thanksgiving. I was telling my cousin earlier that before I became a Christian, I was a DJ in a strip club in San Francisco. And
how nice.
no,
I can only imagine what you must have to see every day, but like many awesome stories probably came out of that.
I made a promise to my manager at the club that I would never write that story. When I keep a promise.
And that kind of goes along with their photo policy. No photos, please.
No photos.
Don't tell the stories, please. What stays in the strip club? What happens in the strip club stays in the strip club.
I don't know if I should read another section, another poem. Is that cool?
Yeah, please do.
I got one called, where did I find it? The Death of Charterway. As some of you guys know, we're in Stockton. I've lived in Stockton for over almost, 30-something years. Charterway, the name was changed recently, probably 4 years ago. This is the poem. The Death of Charterway. It was a spring morning when the new sign went up. For 1 year, the dual signage of Charterway, MLK Boulevard were all along the watchways, enjoying the privilege of having a dual personality. Charterway or Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. It was what rang forth. Telling his name, plenty. Charterway had its memories of long cruising Saturday nights from Chevy Impala's late 60 miles to Honda Rice Rockets. Charter had drank up the blood of teen thugs from all sorts of sets, the groups and the hoodlums. Neighbor kids walked along with the vets from wars fighting Asians in all misery. They came home to walk the streets of Charterway, while candlelit glasses stayed by hit-and-run victims. The people, not inanimate objects, are what the streets held. Their dreams filtered on the new name for Luther King Jr. Just like his name, the new street has dreams of rising above the city's poverty. Dentist office, used tire shops, the taco trucks plenty. Still, feed and help customers that spring morning, no fuss. The death of Charterway was gone just like that. Some small businesses along corporate restaurant chains still moved their commerce and goods. If you noted the sign change, it was still the hood. You know what? There's something to the tail end of that. Charterway isn't just a hood. That's where people live their lives, where people
built families.
The
Filipino Federation is out there.
People don't know that.
They don't know that. We used to go to parties upon parties at the Filipino Federation, all the way in the back, of Charter. You head to the back towards the park, and you would not think that there is this big building where it's a federation. A bunch of Filipinos live there, but then it's like this little hall that they had, and they would throw parties all the time.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, she's a jazz singer. That's how I know this place, because she would perform there all the time. And she's
what's her name?
Muriel Tempe. Muriel.
See. Yeah.
So it was fun. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I appreciate it now.
You have to, because gentrification happens everywhere. When I used to live in San Francisco, you would see the gentrification. The people they would get uprooted, and it's like, well, these are people's lives at stake, and it's affordable housing anywhere, and then when that happens, when the neighborhood changes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
it pushes people out, it runs people out. People can't afford it. They don't accept what was the norm, where multiple families lived in a small home. So it's kind of like a teepee. Native Americans have like grandparents, the parents, the kids. They all live in the same teepee. But now we have 4 walls and call it a house. Yeah. And so, sometimes there's mixed families in there, and where other people come in and start to try to clean up. Oh, you can't have this many cars or this, that, and the other. And then, people start to complain about, these neighbors over here, these neighbors over here, but not knowing their neighbors and not knowing their neighbors' situations.
You know why that happens? Because a lot of people have moved. They're commuters. They're from the Bay Area. They're not from Stockton, and we include everybody. But people that come from, they come to live from the Bay Area to move to Stockton.
But we did that back in the day, because my auntie and uncle. Okay, so they're from from Charterway area, Packrams family.
Yeah.
So the Packrams and Icasianos, so they got together, and then they ended up buying a house out in San Francisco for $23,000. They bought a house, and then they ended up owning 2 houses out there.
Yeah.
But then they ended up coming back. My uncle sold one of the houses, and he bought 6 houses over here. Right back in the same neighborhood by Grant Elementary School, Garfield. Where they grew up. Back over here in Charterway area, on the south side of Stockton.
South side?
Family, he was like, yeah, I'm going to where my family used to be. And everybody says, but I go over there, visit him. It's family. I don't see the issues. But then again, I don't live there on a daily basis to see what might that issue be. But then even if I did, I don't know. Doesn't it kind of like, if you have that energy, it kind of begets that energy? You know what I mean? So
sure does.
like you're bringing that kind of stuff around, you're going to have that stuff around.
I agree totally with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's what people see and what they're involved in.
So.
But please, no, expand on what you were saying more about the gentrification of the area that you were saying. That they...
I look at it this way. It's like my grandfather, like you see, was a grandmaster martial artist, escrimador. He was originally in Boggs Tract, okay, where the pencil factory was back in 1970.
Oh, I missed that. Duraflame.
The Duraflame. It was a pencil factory, then it became Duraflame. Yep. But he was there back in like the late 60s at his house, chilling with. If you heard of Dan Inosanto, that's where Dan Inosanto learned eskrima from my grandpa in Boggs Tract. He didn't learn it where I'm at now, but that house was they traded that property to move him to where he, back in the 77 or something, they tore that down to build the Duraflame factory, the pencil factory. And when you get in that situation, it's like you're moving people from where they're comfortable to where they're unfamiliar. And sometimes you have to do that as an exodus, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just the bottom line. And sometimes they tear it down so that you can have nothing there, an empty lot, which is the saddest part. It's like, whoa, this is just an empty dirt lot. Why did you move
people who are living life?
And it's just an empty lot now. And it's like, it's just, it gets frustrating, but at the same time, sometimes you have to have the exodus. You have to have the change.
Well, the people in the city who are, govern that and over that, they have to hear those types of things because they have to see how much that can be upsetting to the families where you're just going to go and take down the homes of the families, and then, the generations beyond them have to sit and watch that just be blighted and unused where their family once thrived. That kind of happened with my grandmother, my great-grandmother. Her house got raised for the Highway 4. So that being at the end...
I-5? Highway 4.
Highway 4. So they took out East Side... to make the crosstown.
Okay, all right, I got that.
And so it's kind of like the end of where the Duraflame, the pencil factory. I remember smelling the pencil factory, by the way. And then the Duraflame became Duraflame. But like being at the end, I know it's upsetting, right? It's so upsetting. And so, like, knowing that they are not using it, I hope that the people of the city may hear somebody's plight about the need to either utilize the space or build some homes again. But it's at the end of an industrial line,
it is.
So I don't know where they
would... If people can't see a bottom line, can't see a dollar figure behind it, they're not going to support it.
Very true. I was just having this conversation about something else, about another area in Stockton that I believe can be totally useful. But if they aren't wanting to see the dollar value... They don't want to share. They don't want to utilize. They don't want to open their mind to something creative.
Corporate America it's all about they bow down to the spirit of mammon. It's a dollar. That's what it is. So it is what it is. How unfortunate.
So in these books that you've read, and I really appreciate. Can I read one? Can I read one out loud?
Yeah. Have you picked out a section?
Your poems. One of the poems.
Let's see. Probably want to read out of. Okay. Let's see. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Two cousins catching up on things.
Oh, let's do that one.
That's 2 girls. I don't want to be the girl.
Oh, okay.
Cassandra and Siobhan. And you can read. Well, let me see. Let me try to figure out. Do you want to read Eternal Bliss? I don't know if that was...
Okay, I will let you choose whatever you... Okay, Eternal Bliss. Okay,
all right. And I became a Christian about 18 years ago. My C.S. Lewis is an influence on me. St. Augustine is influencing St. Paul, because these are men that had lives that were totally 180 degrees transformed, not 108. That's only partial. 180 degrees transformed. And I'm like, how did it go from I hated Christians to
becoming one
I
that.
used to spit in their face.
But you know,
I used to spit in
wasn't
their
there one of the
face,
disciples that did do that, and they became a disciple,
That was Apostle Paul.
and they went
His name was
harder. They went harder for God
Yeah.
than they did it when
They did.
they were spitting in their faces.
Oh, they did. He did worse than spit in the face.
So this
but
is why you kind of you mentioned earlier Paul as
yeah,
one of the.
Paul. His name was Saul. He
his
was on the
stories.
road to. He was on the road to Damascus, and he got blinded. And with my situation,
Blinded
he
by
got
the light.
he got blinded, and so what happened? His situation was like, I can understand because I was a DJ at a strip club. I was trying to get a job as a video editor at an editing place, let's say, and I was sitting at the bus stop, and I had my car at the bus stop. I just felt the Holy Spirit just totally tug on me.
What did it do? Like how?
It was like pound. You want to hear the real?
Okay.
When I was a little kid, this is the real story, okay? I used to, if you guys don't know what anting is, okay, you know anting?
Anting.
Okay, all right. The idea, there's a different ways. Anting is a word for supernatural power. When I was a little kid, I used to have a fear an airplane crashing into me, okay? I told you that, right?
Yeah, I used to have that feeling.
An airplane, this is before 9/11, before the movie Obama came out.
Yes, that there
All
was
right.
going to be an explosion overhead. And
Well,
like
yours
pieces
is different, but I'll tell you this one. An airplane was going to crash into me. I was like, and since I was a kid, that was a recurring dream. And then what happens was, okay, I grow up. Every year I would have that dream. Every couple of years I would have the dream, and I become a filmmaker. Go to San Francisco State, learn how to be a filmmaker, editor, a writer, all that kind of stuff. So I somewhere along the line become a DJ in a strip club for like a month, and I was there only for 6 weeks a month. And then I said, I gotta get a real job. I can't be working with naked girls all the time. I gotta make some money, because the dudes that work in there that got clean up, they don't get paid. They get minimum wage. The girls are the ones that get $1,000 a night. So the story goes, it's not a story. It really happened. I went to apply at the job, and I was at the bus stop waiting for the interview, and I got the job. The guy says, "Hey, you got the job. You start on Monday." I'm over there. I sit on the bench. I'm in South San Francisco. A jet airplane is like 12, 15 feet above my head, so that fear comes back. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, oh, heck no. And for 5 years that I'm practicing anting. The word anting can mean supernatural power, but it can also mean Filipino witchcraft. So I was
or any craft, I could say, because if it translates for just what that practice is,
okay.
It's utilizing the energy that is of spirit or beyond, like our five senses.
I mean, I'm not disrespecting my ancestors, but that's what I was involved in for 5 years. I met people that would, not a coven, but basically a group that would show me the ways and of
how to just harness your energy.
Yes. So the story happens where I said, I find out that the last DJ that I took the job from, he got murdered in the gutter of Market Street, and so that fear just came back big time. So my sister tells me, hey, you know what, you need to get right. You can't stop working at the club. You gotta change everything. So I'm like, okay. So I say the sinner's prayer. Next thing you know, I said, okay, I'm not living in San Francisco no more. I'm coming back to Stockton. If an airplane's gonna crash into me, because that's when the airplane dream, for 5 years, that dream went away. I didn't have that dream. The whole time I was practicing anting, that dream did not happen.
Okay.
I did not have that dream, that fear. I was like, whatever, I'm just go practice the craft for 5 years. And so for 5 years was nothing. Just me doing my thing, just partying and everything. Next thing you know, I go back, I say the prayer from the book of Romans, and guess what happens? I said, I got to move back to Stockton. I asked my dad to move back, like the prodigal son, coming home. Dad, I'm eating ramen for 3 weeks. I got no money. Can I come back and live with you?
Yeah.
He goes, okay. This is about 18 years ago. He goes, okay. So I come back. I started going to church with, still looking up the sky for airplanes crashing into me. Oh, my God. Vicky and Danielle are like, you're tripping. An airplane's not going to crash into me. So I'm sitting in church in the third row. This is like 2 months I'm going to church. Next thing you know, the pastor, he's from Sacramento. He says, we're going to start a new program for our Sunday school. Sometimes we give a lot of little toy balloons that said, Jesus loves you. Sometimes we say that stuff that little cars, they say Jesus loves you. Sometimes we give out these, and it was a wooden airplane, right? He throws it, and that thing hits me straight dead on the heart. And then I was
gonna say if he gets thrown by a paper airplane?
No,
Oh,
it wasn't a paper airplane. It was a balsa wood airplane. It was a balsa wood airplane, and my dad's smiling at me, and he goes, "Hey, remember you said an airplane was gonna crash into you and you're gonna die?" I go, "Yeah," because well, an airplane crashed into you, and the
your
old
heart.
Sam, you died spiritually. The old man died, and you're a new man in the Lord. I'm like,
That's pretty dope.
Well, no, I'm not making up. That's a
No,
real
no,
story.
and I see the correlation
Yeah.
because the dream in our spirit will have to make it so grand that you will never forget it. That you will never forget it, because when the moment comes for you to have to know it, what it was.
Yeah.
See how subtle it was?
It was subtle. It was like God. It was
So
like really,
subtle. An airplane crashed into you.
Yeah, and I
right
had
into
to-
your heart.
right into my heart.
But you would not have known it to be so profound had you not had the profoundness of the other energy about it
For real.
given to you in a different way.
Yeah.
And so therein lies how spirit works. And people just, if they don't pay attention, they will never know. They
Because they're
go
not
around
woke.
wondering like what
Yeah.
and why. By the way, Thomas Screen Prints, by the way, says, "Yee, Thomas." He say, "What's up?
What?
Hit me up for printing shirts." He's stocked with new colors. Heather Evans tapping in. She's got a black heart up for you, and she's loving this, by the way.
Black
So
heart's good?
thank you. She's loving what you're talking about. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna read Eternal Bliss. Now you have it separated. And it's kind of like internet, like email, but it's eternal.
Well, because
Bliss.
people don't realize that
This is what he has.
our way, like electricity. There's electricity running through our
Every
bodies.
cell, yes.
Every single cell that people don't recognize. I mean, there's metals in our body like gold, and
Yes.
there's like
Silver, aluminum,
Yeah.
we have iron.
Yeah.
This is why, like the Magneto, they gave him food with a lot of extra iron, and he was able to pull all the iron out and utilize it.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. We have to have those to have the synapses, and the dendrites have to make those electrical impulses, and the synapses, that's how they actually jump across dendrites. It's like the electrical connection. So we have to have electrical ways to carry the current of electricity, and so through the metals and water and things like that is why we have it. And that's why we can connect with everything, because it's the same. But you were saying we have those in our body, and this is what it's saying is kind of like jumping out eternal, like why it's separated from the
yeah.
eternal.
It's like email,
Energy?
Energy. I mean, God's an energy.
I'm so sorry,
Spirit's
my
energy.
fingernail polish is coming off.
Oh, no,
It's a good thing.
that's your book.
Thank you.
Hey, I had lumpia. I was making.
You got
lumpia.
grease all over. Oh no!
That's how you know it's a Filipino book.
Hell, it's so true. I can't stand that. Oh my god!
You don't even know. This is my cousin Renee right here.
I know.
Dang. I used to have a radio show back in the day.
Heck no.
Read the poem.
Okay. Oh my god, that's hilarious. I'd be like, no. Okay, eternal bliss. Eternal bliss, you bring me joy unspeakable. Eternal bliss, contentment. Words will not do when I'm really, truly in your presence, devoid of distractions or guilt. All the days of my life is this feeling of wholeness when I run to you.
I mean,
Eternal bliss.
oh man. Don't even look at the first story, because people read the second story and they trip out on it. Because they say, what? Is that really what Sam's situation was?
Oh, the Samson rides through a miracle?
No, the first story. Open the first story. Like the second
Eternal
page.
Bliss?
No. Because there's a bunch of short stories.
Okay.
The first book.
Clyde Perry and his 57 Lovers?
Yeah, what happened was, I wrote the first book. It was a novel, the blue one. You see the first? No, the blue book.
Uh-huh.
The second one is a bunch of short stories, but it's also kind of a sequel to the first one. And then people saying, is that what Sam's situation was? But
Can I read it? No?
you know what? If you want to read it, go ahead. That's whatever story you want to read. But I mean, it's like these are available on many different platforms. I'm a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm. Let's put him up.
Okay.
Okay, so catch Sammy at.
Kasama for Christ. Kasama means together or along together with. And the thing is, like I said, I'm a Christian, but at the same time, when I wrote the first novel, I was in a situation where, okay, I'm a believer, but I don't see anybody that reflects my cultural identity. And as someone that came from the conscious, what they call now woke activism situation, I saw people that didn't look like me, that didn't think like me, but still I believe. But how could I reach people that come out of that understanding, that point of perspective? You don't come at them with I know I'm not trying to be corny, but it's like,
No.
hallelujah, brother. And it's like people can get totally turned off, but but at the same time you got to be genuine to your beliefs too. So I had to I don't want to say I balanced Christ through the novel. But the guy in the story is, see, I got eczema, so I can't do it. But he's tatted with all Babayin Alibata. With his whole, he's sleeved up.
Where's he at? I gotta have him read the back of my neck to make sure it's straight.
Oh, shit. This guy came from generations after. Oh, you know what? Read the blue book. Let me see. Let me show you. Let me show you something in the blue book. Okay. If you do read something.
I make a soap, by the way, for eczema, psoriasis, and like people with skin rashes and stuff. So I'm gonna have to give you a bar of my soap.
Okay.
It's a honey goat's milk oatmeal, and it's like really soothing.
If you want to read, starting at this part right here where it says he hated the ink on his. Okay, one thing about my family's name is Illustrissimo. My grandfather was a Grandmaster Regino Illustrissimo. His name was spelled with the E. He was Dan Inosanto's one of his many, I don't want to say 35 or so. Dan Inosanto had a lot of teachers. Dan Inosanto was best friends with Bruce Lee. But my grandpa taught Dan Inosanto. The book that Dan Inosanto did with Filipino martial arts was made in my grandpa's name. When my grandpa came to the United States, was spelled wrong because this naval officer didn't understand his name.
A lot of people's names got misspelled that way, by the way.
It's Illustrissimo with the I. You go back.
Illustrissimo, yes.
Because Illustrissimo.
Like illustrate.
Illustrate, because our whole Filipinos, back before the Spaniards came, they were tattooed all over.
Almost like because you know what I'm talking about. The Japanese.
Oh yeah, and then straight up, that's how my grandpa was tattooed. Yeah.
Yakuza.
No, not well.
Because they're Yakuza, they're tattooed everywhere too.
Okay, go ahead.
But the same, like this. Okay. So he was all tatted up, right?
He's everywhere.
Okay, so he hated the ink on his back. Okay, by the way, this is chapter 2, peat dirt in the hot Central Valley.
Peat dirt's all around Stockton.
You know, peat dirt, yes. And I have to tell you, we have a microbiological organism that's native to our land, and it causes yellow valley fever. And the only reason they call it yellow valley fever is because they only get it in the valley here.
And Filipinos get it.
Yes. Mexicans get it too because they're out in the fields and they work at the fields. Italians as well. The Lebanese as well. Chinese as well. So he hated the ink on his back. Illustrado in big black Old English lettering. Not so much the other tattoos because the Latin prayers on his right calf made sense to him, but the name Illustrado on his back made no sense to him. For him, the last name Illustrado represented a mistake made years ago by a U.S. naval officer that couldn't understand his late grandfather's Juanito Illustrado told him to spell his name out. Because his grandfather Juanito was illiterate, he didn't know that the U.S. naval officer misspelled his own name. And for the last 70 years, the Illustrado name became Illustrado. The alibata and indigenous animal patterns on his chest and arm sleeves represented ancient symbols of Illustrado family lineage and Cebuano culture pride. Battles both in ancient times before the Spanish arrival in Cebu, down through his grandfather spent time in the U.S. Navy fighting the Japanese in World War II, even up to the times when his father Elipidio was in the army during the Vietnam era. Stop there? Keep going.
You can go on if you want.
Okay. Though his dad never went to Vietnam, being stationed in Germany and Kansas before young Regino was born on his twin brother. And what? Regino was born on his twin brothers were born.
Yeah.
Or his twin brothers were born. Okay, wait. Before he and his twin brothers were born. Really quickly, this reminds me of Moana.
Does it really? I have no idea who Moana is.
Okay, Moana is that movie. It's kind of.
What part about Moana? I wrote that 6 years ago.
Okay, so it reminds me of Moana. I've never watched Moana since it came out. It came out a long time ago already, and it's like a family movie kind of. And so it's like an Islander version of like a Disney fairy tale. So you have like, you know how you have like Mulan, Beauty and the Beast. So Moana is one, and it's of islanders. And the islanders, because we're islanders, you know, basically, yes. So this one, he's a demigod kind of. He's a god, and his name is Maui. And Maui gets all these tattoos, and the way he gets the tattoos is by experiences that happen in his world. And so then they just appear on him. What? So, but they tell the stories of his life and the history of his people. So in the way that he's tatted and the way it talks about all the lineage, it totally brought that whole thing to like a connection into our reality and as to why they would put that in the movie.
And I'll tell you this one thing, I'm not trying to be a hater, but back in the day, you couldn't get a tattoo unless you're a warrior until for the battles that you fought. You were not supposed to get tattooed unless it meant something. Now everyone nowadays gets tattoos, but like I said, my grandpa got tattooed.
That's why we see some really dumb ones. No, I'm just saying.
Oh,
I've seen some really, really dumb ones.
I mean, it's because of my faith now. I'm not gonna get any more. I'm not gonna get any work. But like I said, that's what happened with my grandpa. His name was misspelled, and so even on the tombstone, you go to the tombstone right now, it's spelled wrong. Mm-hmm. But you know, you are the changes that happen in your life.
Yeah.
And if you don't
correct them, it's
well,
not.
If you don't correct them, but even if you have to, sometimes you have to live with things that happen, but make the best choices from those mistakes.
Yes.
That others made.
That is absolutely right. Quick question. So you have your YouTube, Kasama for Christ, but do you have any other handles anywhere else?
If you look in the corner on my YouTube channel, you'll see. You'll see links to the Amazon page for the books. You'll see links, and now I strongly, if anybody listens to Humble Beast Records, they say freely you have received, freely give. I'm in the same boat. I have a free WordPress, so you don't have to buy this book. This book
donations.
I'm saying you don't have to buy this book. It's available for free online on WordPress. So if you go to the corner of my YouTube page, you'll see 3 little links, or 4 of them. You have one for WordPress, you have one for Amazon, you have one for the Amazon Kindle for a 99-cent download, and you also have my skateboards, and t-shirt designs, because I do stop motion animation called Tiberius Omalai, and that's another story. Oh my God, Renee, that's crazy. The Omalai name, I can straight up tell you, we found our great-grandmother. She was kidnapped by pirates.
Oh my gosh!
Her name is Omalai. Her name's Ursula Omalai. So I took that. I said, you know what? I'm gonna make that into a little cartoon. So my dad, and this is another thing. My dad had a I don't want to say a crazy ex-stalker, ex-girlfriend, but she made a little flower vase back in like 1967 or something, and she straight up made that flower vase in the shape of my dad, right?
Oh wow!
So I said, oh heck no, I'm gonna make this into a cartoon. So I got stop motion cartoons on there, and so yeah, those are there, and the purple one's there too. So purple, obviously the purple one. How do we do the purple?
Yay! Right there on you. Woo-hoo.
So the purple one is $1, but
but you guys can find them all for free.
Find it for free. Read it on WordPress.
And or Amazon or Kindle.
Or look on Zazzle, buy a t-shirt.
So you can find, the book's names are Marina's Fella, and that's a large print edition, and then also Roses for Magdalena by Sam Lauranilla.
Or Lauranilla, or Lauranilla.
Or Lauranilla.
So I'm not a tortilla, I'm a gorilla.
Yes.
And I found out
Make sure you pronounce it.
Laura means bay leaf, so it's like a crown of bay leaf. So it's like, anyway.
Nice. Crown of bay leaf.
Or hat made of bay leaf. I'd rather say crown of bay leaf. But.
Yeah, you can only imagine what they would definitely need to utilize that for, though, when they're out there outside needing shade and,
well, bay leaf is, you know how bay leaf is. It's medicinal. You can use it for, like, healing purposes. Use it for chicken adobo.
I know. Yes, you can use it for all kinds of
chicken
dishes.
adobo. You can use it for all the stuff. Oh, my gosh. I love Filipino accents.
Put it in the pho, too.
Because you know why? Because our family has been in the United States literally almost 100 years.
Isn't that amazing? No. And we are a hub in Little Manila. This is where all of the Filipinos came.
And the Filipino Museum.
All the
Filipino
Filipinos came here before they started to disperse when they from the mainland. When they come from the Pacific, when they go to Hawaii, then they come into the mainland here through our port, and then they disperse because we had all the fields, the agriculture, and then they would move to different parts of the country. So we have Little Manila. But yes, you're right. We have that. For that reason, we have the museum, the Filipino Museum here.
You know what? You know what my grandparents would say about.
And these are there.
You know why? You know why the way they trip off of? That's in the book too, but it's the reality. I've heard it from many 4 or 5 sources. The fact that we're on the other side of Harding Way, back until 1962, if you're Filipino, if you're African American, if you're Mexican, the cops would beat you down and say, "Stay on the other side of Harding Way. You don't belong on this side."
Isn't that crazy?
No, that's reality.
I know, it's crazy.
Because people...
They got beat, like, for that.
Yeah.
For being brown and being on the other side of the street.
For real.
Jesus.
Like, but you know what? I have to just say, you know what? We're in a different space now. But the racism that exists...
It exists.
No, the racism that exists is more different. In some ways. Somewhat. But at the same time, like that's what the first book addresses. It addresses racism.
But racism is racism regardless of what it is and how it's still what it is.
It is.
And it needs to really be controlled. I mean, people are going to have their opinions and views. I'm not saying completely eradicate it, but it would be nice, but that just isn't going to be. So, but people just have to learn how to control themselves in the environment where they find themselves intolerable, intolerating. They don't tolerate their environment. They need to control themselves.
I'll say this
through their intolerance.
As a believer that goes to a church that's multiracial, that has the only way we can solve these racial issues is through talking to each other
and learning each other's culture. Because when you learn their culture, you learn their food, you learn their customs, you learn their ways, you learn a different respect.
Like Ed got
learn a respect.
Filipino lumpia for the first time with banana.
No, that's his first time.
Yeah, with a lumpia. He never had a banana lumpia before. What's it called? Toro? But he never had a strawberry lumpia.
Oh my gosh.
There's a banana strawberry lumpia.
I haven't either.
Well, it's out there.
I'm going to try one, you guys.
Hey, you got to forget it's all soggy because lumpia is no good after 4 hours.
Yeah.
No, it's like, man. That's like Sam on a date after 4 hours.
Oh my god.
No, you know what? I'll tell you this. That's wrong.
Hilarious.
That's the new Sam.
You're
Lord got
silly.
me. I am silly.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the time and energy that we've brought to you guys, and all of his information that you can find, and different things that you guys can follow him on YouTube. You can go get his books, and then
buy
you can
a skateboard.
Yeah.
Don't buy the skateboard.
Buy a skateboard. I got skates. I have skates, a bicycle. I do have I borrow other skateboards when they're around. But yeah, it's fun. Go to the skate park. Have you ever been?
Not as a grown man at the skate park.
Yeah, gotta do it.
Yeah.
You gotta do it. It's fun.
Dude, I'm 43 years old. I don't have no business on a skateboard. You know what's kind of
cool? No, that's not true. There's actually, if you choose to do it and you feel the energy and you still can, you got control of the board and you still know how to control the board, you can still ride the board because they have a whole like webpage on Facebook called Skaters Over 40 or 40 Over 40 in skateboarding or something.
Well, I want to go surfing because my grandma was Kanaka.
Go.
She was a local Hawaiian before she came to Stockton.
Yeah, my grandmother came from there.
So,
Hawaii. They came from Hawaii. Then they all went to
sugar canes.
They were in the Rio Vista though. Isleton and Rio Vista.
You know about the Filipino Basketball League?
Then they moved here.
Did you know about the Filipino Basketball?
Yeah, my uncle was telling me about it.
They had a Filipino Basketball League because they couldn't play in the regular league, so they had their own.
Yes.
They had their own
my
grandpa
was tall. Yeah.
There's so much culture we have.
We do, and my uncle was telling me a lot about that and about their leagues and everything. But you can find out more, you guys, if you go to the museum that we have. It's over, I think, on. Isn't it on? They moved it.
Oh no, there's two of them.
It was on Weber.
Was it on Weber? I thought it was still on Weber, but
there's the one. I think that got vandalized, but they got it fixed up.
Okay, then they have another one at the Little Minna Museum too, right? That's like 3 blocks away by the Mexican Heritage Museum.
Okay.
So a lot of people in Stockton do not know. If you don't know now, you know. You gotta figure out. That's old school. We have stuff that goes on, cultural stuff in our city that our own people would rather go to the mall, hang out. And I'm like, come on, you need to know your stuff because the people that don't know the history are doomed to repeat it. And like I said, I'm a man of faith, and if I don't,
what do you say to those people who don't care?
Hey, because you guys show love. You guys show love, and as far as the cultural stuff.
Know your history.
If you don't
know your heritage,
my cousin, like I said, on my straight up, I just came from my aunt's house. My aunt's 87-year-old vegan. Okay, she will not eat the hamburger lumpia. Said, you make me some banana lumpia.
Well, that's why you have the banana lumpia.
And, yeah. But I would straight up tell you, I have family. She knows about that stuff, and she'd tell me and stuff. But when it comes down to like we're 3rd, 4th, 5th generation, and a lot of us are mestizo or at a certain point, and some of us say, oh, we're all mixed. Yeah. But if you don't know where your culture identity is, you get to the place where what are you going to just be a consumer, an American consumer that doesn't grasp into anything else,
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Just become American culture rather than trying to bring in your culture.
They don't even go in the mall anymore, but back in the days, that's all they don't even, But it's like, if you don't know your stuff, if you don't know who you are, where you came from, what the struggles that your grandparents went through, that your parents went through, it's like, you can't appreciate where you're at now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, wow, just...
That's why I think a lot of the people now who, like the young children from immigrant parents, they do so well now because they do see the struggle and they're like, man, look how hard they're doing what they do, and so they go hard too. And so it's like when people say, oh my gosh, you know, look what they're doing, and I can't believe it that they're age doing that, but it's because they've seen the struggles of their parents.
Because my dad used to threaten
just to make it in this country.
You know, my dad and mom used to say, hey, if you don't do good in school, if you don't do this, you're going to cut asparagus like your grandpa.
I
and
know.
My grandpa literally was like, he was like,
you're going to go to the fields.
You're going to go to the fields. And it was like literally short because he had asparagus cutting a stoop labor where you're stooping down. He literally lost 2 inches off his height from years stooping down. And it's like, and some of these guys, if you ever, you see that play, the one that came to the Bob Hope Theater, that straight up was like reality of Stockton. The Filipinos that came to Stockton, some of them were educated. Some of them were, I forgot the name of it. The story of I don't know if it's Carlito Bunchuk. We have a Filipino history section in the Stockton Library, but that straight up is like, some of these guys were doctors, were educated from, and they became, the only work they could find was menial labor, picking cherries, cutting asparagus, and it's like because of the way the system was set up.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes
they were automatically discriminated.
Automatically because of skin tone, because of the
accents, skin color, yeah.
Because of
they weren't seen as human beings.
And the thing is, it's like that book addresses it. You know, a lot of people don't know about the Filipino-American War after the Spaniards. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? The Filipino-American War. A lot of people don't know that, and it's like I had to go to San Francisco State. No, I'll tell you, that's in the book. There was a gun that was invented. Dylan Delville and Don Mablon would vouch for this. When Don Mablon, she would say she had to go to leave Edison High School from Stockton and go to San Francisco State to learn that there was a gun. The Colt 45 was invented to kill Filipinos because the 38 wasn't strong enough to knock us down. It wasn't, the stopping power wasn't there. So they made the Colt 45 because there was a Filipino-American War after the Spaniards sold it to America, sold the Philippines to America for $20 million. And what happened after that, you get to that place where like, whoa, you just try to prostitute us out. And
is that where they have the base of Guam?
I think that's Guam. But I'll tell you this, we got to learn our history, and like I said,
it would make sense to me because I know what it is now, like why America is over there and where they're at, and it's just like, but to know that's why. Quick. Which one, first or second?
The blue one. Okay. The second book, the yellow book, is coming out.
Alicia Salas loves the show.
I will tell you straight up. This is something that's in the book also. I wrote this. Random trivia about Stockton and the Filipinos. The Philippines has been colonized. Okay, let me say that's not. Okay. Different facts about Filipinos and Stockton. Stockton, California is 9 cities named Stockton in the United States. There's 9 of Stocktons in the United States. Not as popular as Springfield, Franklin, Clinton, or Madison, though. There was a special gun designed to kill Filipinos, the Colt 45, Philippine model, where only 4,600 were made. This was done during the Filipino-American War from 1898, that was when my grandpa was born, to 1902, where the term leatherneck was first coined because the Filipinos would use bolo knives to attack U.S. Marines and chop off their necks. Leather collars were added to American soldiers' uniforms to prevent onslaught of attacks. As many as 70,000 Americans died and close to 2 million Filipinos were killed. Okay, Americans were ordered to shoot and kill anyone over age 10. Filipinos over age 10 were considered criminals because they were born 10 years before that America took over the Philippines. So, like I said, oh
my god.
No, that's something that we don't know.
Sad.
My mom and dad didn't know that.
Males and females?
I think it was mostly the males, but the reason why they're called leathernecks, the Marines are called leathernecks, because the Filipinos would get the bolo knives and just
chop their necks off.
Do a number 1 on them, man.
Do a number 1 all day.
It's kind of funny.
That's hilarious.
There you go.
That's so funny. Being in the park, you're like, hit him with the number 1.
Dude, we were in the parking lot.
Like 3.
You know why? It's because
hilarious.
People ask me when I'm going to open a school up, open up a martial arts. I say, you know what? I'm a Christian, and I really believe violence is like a last resort. But at the same token, I really believe the way my grandpa did it was off the cuffs, dude.
Peaceful?
No, because he trained people the real deal, no watered down in his backyard.
Nice.
He trained Dan in a Santo, like I'll show you straight up. Like there's straight up a move called the Illustrational Slap. You go like this, boom, gouge the eye out. Bring it back to the hip. I showed you that move, right? And the reason why you rested on can I stand up?
Yeah.
The reason why you rested on the collarbone. let's see. It's because if you're here, even if you're against the wall or something, you have an enemy right here. What's going to happen is that you're it's sturdy, it's stable. So like I said, but you replace that slap, because my mom used to slap me like that with her palm. She goes, when I got arrested, she goes, boom, what's it? But that's the same illustrissimo move. But the thing is, you replace that with the stick, boom, it goes out, it goes in. So anyway, the bottom line is, I'll train my friends, and the reason why I started training my friends because I used to work at the mall, because every artist has to have a day job, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just write poems all day. No. So what happened with my situation, I literally said, I got females that are friends of mine that are working at the mall that are walking home from the parking lot. This ain't cool that something could happen to them. I said, well, I'm going to start putting these videos on YouTube. That's why I'm a YouTuber. Part of it. I read my Bible scriptures too, but I'm a YouTuber. I said, I don't want my friends, my female friends, to get attacked in the parking lot. I want to, even if I can't physically show them how the moves, they can watch the video. And like I said, the way my grandpa taught was old school, like Mr. Miyagi style. I think they made Mr. Miyagi after my grandpa. So the story about my grandpa, on Clay Street, he took on 5 dudes with the walking cane. He was already 87 years old, 81 years old at the time. And his name was Regino, Grandmaster Regino Illustrissimo. If you want to go visit his tombstone, it's over in, right, what's that one called? The cemetery down there. But he was a very...
On Harding?
The one on Harding. It's the only cemetery in Stockton, I think. But, I mean, like, a lot of folks out there. And I don't know, I just think it's like, he had a lot of love for everybody. He showed the neighbor kids. He showed Dan Inosanto. Dan Inosanto showed Denzel Washington. I'm like... And then, like, a lot of people opened up schools using my family's name, saying, oh, it's Illustrissimo this, Illustrissimo that. And I'm like, I'm a trying personality. I'm humble about it. I say, hey, man, you know what? As long as, I'm not going to try to take money from that. Because some people will say, hey, you owe us money because it's our family name. I'm like, you know what? As long as you can't. There's too many. As long as you do the moves right and you don't too big.
Yeah.
Where's it too big?
Too big.
You don't water it down. You don't water down the moves to make it like... You do the right moves a legitimate way. I'm okay with someone saying it's illustrissimo, but the thing is, I call it repetition because for 300 years, my family from Pablo Illustrissimo, Juan de Jesus Illustrissimo, all the way down to Melissa Illustrissimo, all the way to Tatang. Tatang's a famous illustrissimo. They called him in World War II. He was my uncle. He was in the Philippines, and his lineage was a different lineage. He had 5 pillars, 5 students that he trained. And from that perspective, I look at the ways that my aunts and my cousins and my mom and uncles taught me to the way that Tatang, his students teach, and the way Tatang taught. It's like, that's the same thing. The only way that could happen is that if you keep it legit and you don't water it down. You ain't no too big. It's you do the real deal Holyfield. You know what I mean? And it's like if you water it down, try to make it commercialized, to make it something that for a 4th grader could learn. They can get a belt and get another belt and get another belt. You know what belts are good for? Belts are holding up your pants. So I mean, it's like, but my grandpa, like I said, the way he showed people, he had a lot of love. He had a lot of his anting. Like I said, is supernatural power. Yeah. His supernatural power did come from the tattoo. His tattoo basically was
came
our
from the
father.
Sword.
Well, no, it wasn't the sword. It was the tattoo. Wasn't the anting. The anting was the Holy Spirit, I believe. It was just a reflection.
It's the energy.
It was a reflection of the energy of God. And I mean, now that I'm in this, to me, like my friends will say, you're spiritually in a different headspace than you were 3 months ago. And they're looking at me and say, what's going on, Sam? What are you doing? I said, I surrendered. Like this is also a martial arts move. This is called the open system. This is a closed system. But I surrendered. When I surrendered, I tell my students all the time. I used to have a webcam model that was one of my students. Okay, and I said, protect your heart, protect your mind. I gotta go. Peace.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in with us, and that you guys were hanging in there, watching all of that. We were reading out of the books for you. Again, the books, Marina's Fella, and then Sam, where are you going? Oh my gosh, she's just about to walk out and everything.
This is your book too, though.
And then also Roses for Magdalena, and then he has a 2nd edition because there's some changes that were made. But Alicia Salas says history, poetry, spirituality, self-defense, defense lessons in Lumpia. I need to hang out there at the station more.
What?
Thank you so much for
I gotta
hanging
visit
out
my
with
cousin
us, you
more.
guys. Yes. And you guys have a really good day. Peace.
Here at KXVS, broadcasting from